Hi and welcome to this week's Ask Charlie. I get so many questions about the garden and my pots, my containers and sort of what I'm doing throughout the year that I thought actually I need to do this job, so I will share it with you as I go along. These are Attar of Rose geraniums, pelargoniums, and they just smell amazing. Actually, this is used to flavour Turkish delight. You can also make it into a wonderful cordial with lemon zest and various other things, which is just delicious. It's so fragrant. The first thing I'm going to do is actually take some cuttings from this and keep those in the house, and then hopefully by next spring they will have, there'll be lovely new plants that I can replace these with. So these are kind of my mother plants, and I want to have some little cuttings from this, and then I will plant those out next year here. These haven't flowered brilliantly, and actually that tends to happen after a few years. They don't produce as many flowers, so it's time for these to have some cuttings taken, and hopefully I'm successful with those. I'm slightly competing today with the tractor that's cutting the hedges up the road, so hopefully you can hear me clearly. So I'm just going to take a cutting from here. So you see there. Now I'm going to strip all these leaves off. You don't want the leaves on there because it detracts from the growth. So I'm just going to leave, in fact I'm even going to leave that one on. I might leave that one on. But you can see that there is the head of it, and I'm just going to give that a nice clean cut from that node there. I'm just going to cut across like so. Now down here I have got some terracotta pots with fresh compost, peat-free compost, and I'm just going to put my cutting, poke it in to the side like that, and I'm going to take a few cuttings from this plant and do exactly the same with them. And you can put you can probably get 4 or 5 in there, and I'm just going to leave, I don't know if you can see there, I'm just going to leave that and pop that in. So that's quite a small one, but that's fine. And I'm just putting it, so it's about 1 inch into the compost with its end, and I should just carry on doing the same thing. Like that, and then in to my compost there. If you put them around the edge of the pot, it helps the roots grow, and it sort of gives it a little bit of a support and structure. And these I'm going to keep inside. They don't need masses of watering. Just make sure that the compost is slightly damp, and you'll know whether they're well and thriving because the tips will still be green. And geraniums don't like to be overly watered. I'm going to now take this out and pop it into a pot, and that will go into the greenhouse for the winter. These leaves I can use to make cordial with. So literally it is sugar, water, lemon juice, lemon zest, these leaves. It's a little bit like my elderflower cordial, but just with these, which just, honestly, it's so heavenly. And rather than wasting these, I can make it into something delicious. I needed to whip up to the greenhouse and get some bigger pots because these are quite huge now. So I'm just going to put some fresh compost in the bottom of here, and then just pop that in there, and then put compost around it. This is now going to go in the greenhouse. I will water it from time to time. They really don't need masses of water. And I will pick off the dead leaves as well. That tractor is getting closer and closer. Now I'm just going to pick through this compost and just pull out any weeds, any dead leaves, and just make sure that it's completely kind of clear and ready to go. You can feel, oh look, there's some bulbs from last year which I missed. I tend to take all the bulbs out in these main pots because I want them to have a really kind of great display. Now I'm planting tulips now in these. You want to plant your tulips once it's got a bit colder. So really November is the time to plant your tulips. Daffodils and alliums and other bulbs like that should be planted earlier. But to be honest, if you haven't done them, it doesn't matter. It's not too late. You can always get them in now. The sooner the better. But you do want to wait until there's been a nice cold snap. And we've had a couple of frosts here in the UK at the beginning of November. So it is time for me to get my tulips in. Now, I'm not going to take all of this compost out. I am going to just add a little bit of fresh to the top. But actually it's a really good compost, I don't want to waste it. You want to make sure that your pots drain and they don't become waterlogged. So it's important to put some sort of drainage in the bottom. It doesn't really matter what it is, but you know, you can use chunky gravel, you can use a bit of rubble, you can use some old broken bricks. Doesn't matter, but some drainage is really important so it doesn't get waterlogged. Right, now I'm actually going to take a little bit of this out and you will see why in a sec. Now I've just got my tulip bulbs out. These bulbs are from Sarah Raven and they are her Pale Peony collection, which I actually just like the pretty pale colours for the front of the house by the front door. And I've got some more vibrant colours which I will put in other places. Now, if you were at Sarah Raven's, I've done courses there, you would put in 100 bulbs into this pot, but it would cost a fortune and I don't have that kind of money to spend on tulip bulbs. So I'm just putting, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 bulbs in this pot here. And I'm going to layer them up a bit. So I'm going to put 5 in first and then just put those to one side for a sec. Now while you're planting your bulbs, you want, can you see that little tip there? That is the top. So you want to make sure that that is the bottom, a bit like an onion, and you have that tip pointing up. That is really important. So I've got my bulbs there. I'll just cover that with soil. Now I'm making a sort of layered cake effectively with my bulbs. So I'm now going to put, and I'm going to try and avoid where I put the last lot, but don't worry, they will kind of worm their way around. And put those on there and then tip that on. I don't want to go too close to the edge. Just bring these in a bit. Put those there. And then I'm going to put a little bit more fresh compost on the top. I want this to be full up to the top here. going to break it up so there's no big lumps. Just work it through your hands. Now, to go on the top of this pot, rather than leaving it bare and empty like this until the spring, I have got 3 of these hydras. It's always a good idea to go for an odd number. I can't quite reach that. And I have got some pansies as well. So I'm just going to put these in just to give it a little bit of something of interest over the winter. And then I will whip these out come the spring. You could actually leave these in, but I will take the pansies will come out. That tractor's being so noisy, it's typical, but I know that he's going to be here for days and days now. He's doing all the hedgerows in the area. So I've got some white ones, and then I've got these gorgeous red ones. So I'm going to put a mixture. I'm going to put, what am I going to put in here? I don't know, we'll see. In fact, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put all red in here, and I'm going to save the white ones to go somewhere else. Now that is our first container, ready for the winter and ready for the spring too. So it's a really good job done. I now need to crack on and get the rest done. So that's my second one done. Really good job. Now these little tiny pots I won't be throwing away. These will come into the greenhouse and I will use them until they're no longer usable. I keep all my plastic pots and I will put little seedlings in there and reuse them. And again, you can do exactly the same with these. They won't go in the bin. I have a stash, and I find them terribly useful actually, just for pricking out seeds. So do be conscious of the environment, the plastic that you're throwing away, and the things that actually you can reuse. The bulbs that I pulled out that were in this pot left over from last year, I've got another pot that I'm just going to put them in now, and I'm not sure what's there, but there'll be a selection of various things. In fact, let's crack on and do that right now. They look absolutely fine. So rather than wasting them, they may not flower. They're quite small. They could be little, I don't think they're daffodils. I'm sure I've never had daffodils in here, but anyway, we will see what comes up. Don't want to waste them. Now I've got two pots at the front of the house. So I say the front, the old front of the house. This is the original back of the house, but we call it the front. It's terribly confusing. So I've got 2 pots on that side, and then I've got 2 up at the yard, and I've got a few little ones around the house which will have daffodils in, and some little muscari as well, which I haven't done yet, but I think it's fine. I will get those in pronto. But now is the time to do your tulips, and also think about having a cutting bed for your tulips. So I've got a cutting bed for mine just the other side of the summer house. I've shown you before that cutting bed, and I will put some tulip bulbs in there, and then they're ones that I can cut for the house for flower arrangements, or just to have in vases and just enjoy the tulips by themselves. You don't need to add them into flower arrangements. But these ones I tend not to cut unless I have an excess. I just keep these for looking beautiful, and then have my cutting bed, which is out of sight, and I can attack that as much as I like. I've just realised what the time is and I need to go and do the school run, but I really hope that you have found that helpful. Plant your tulips now. It's not too late if you haven't planted your daffs and your alliums and other bulbs like that. You can get them in now and it will be fine. It's better now than not at all, to be honest. And also plan your garden for next year, things that you want to grow. If you've got shrubs that need to be replaced, I've got a couple of shrubs up in the top bed there which have seen better days. They've been in the ground for a long time, they're not looking great, so I'm going to be replacing those. But think ahead, plan ahead. Now is the time to kind of do that, and things that you would like to be buying or planting or growing from seed. Sit down, take a moment and just sort of start planning your garden for next year. I really hope that you've enjoyed a bit of gardening with me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Leave me a comment. Share my video with anyone that you think may enjoy it as well. Wishing you a happy weekend, a really good week ahead, and I will see you again next week. Lots of love.